Hey, once again, Satanico here for Godlovescomics and another scintillating unboxing boxing match. Pacquiao versus Mayweather. But no, another unboxing video, which everyone loves, all 10 people. Everyone, for whatever reason, keeps watching the V for Vendetta reading, and no one cares about comics anymore. But here I've got two small boxes from MyComicShop, and I've got one big box that just has one big book in it, so should be relatively quick. And then I'll finally have gotten through the things that I ordered late last year. And even though the box I ordered last week, so the book, I should say. It's a big collection that I just kind of bought on a whim. But first, let's get to the actual comics. And once again, it's been so long since I've had these that I've forgotten exactly what I ordered. I don't even really have a particularly vague idea of what's in these now, which makes it pretty exciting. But I know that there are not very many comics. So let's toss that box aside. Here's the invoice. I'm not gonna look at it, so it's a little bit more exciting for me. And here are the comics. Okay. Let's see if I can free them from the tape that has them sealed to this backing board. I don't know about the real benefits of the unboxing videos, because I like to be prepared a little bit and actually know what I'm talking about instead of just shooting from the cuff, from the hip, or however that expression goes. But I don't know. Here we go. There is Conan number 6. And if you watched the last video, you know that I had a lot of Conans. A lot. Not a lot in number, but a lot of 10. And including Conan number 1, which was listed as a 6.0, but it actually looked like it was in really beautiful shape. It looked like a 9.0, at least in the Mylar. Maybe when I take it out, I'll see some flaws. But, and obviously I didn't see the back cover, which may be the issue. But this one was not in there, so I picked this one up separately, and I like it. It's a beautiful cover. Again, Barry Windsor Smith, and just about, I wouldn't say I've quite completed that run. I think I still need number 5, and I actually bid on number 5 last week, and I just put one bid down, and then when I was leaving Starbucks, and then, you know, when I got home, I saw that I was outbid, but that's fine. And let's see what else we have. Oh, well, there you go. Number 8. So that was another one that I was missing. I actually posted this cover, the original art from Heritage Auctions, on the Godlovescomics Facebook group just last week. And I had forgotten I had ordered it. But, I mean, I knew I had it, but I wasn't sure if it was in the lot or if I had ordered it separately. Again, a beautiful cover. And what can you say? So it's nice. Let's see. You know, a little bit of white along the spine there, and other than that, it's really nicely centered, and looks good. I'll look at the conditions of these after I show this last one, because I think I only have 3 here. Okay, and this is Enemy Ace with a very classic Joe Kubert cover. I mean, most of Joe Kubert's covers are classic, but yeah, Enemy Ace, you killed my brother, now I challenge you, Von Hammer, a duel to the death in the sky. And a sharp slap that really looks very much like a Sieg Heil. I mean, instead of her hand being this way, her hand is sideways and pointing, which I don't know if that was intentional by Joe Kubert or not. But anyway, I thought it was a really cool cover. I think I just picked it up kind of randomly, and that was not one of the auction comics. I just wanted to kind of fill out the order with something interesting. So, and I'm always kind of in a Kubert phase. So I think I picked up Tarzan #1. Was it Tarzan? It wasn't #1, but it was the first DC issue after they picked up from Dell. And of course, that was by Kubert as well in the previous lot. And so I picked this one up. This is not in great shape. I think this is, let's see, does it even say that on there? Yeah, it's just listed as good to very good. And I probably paid about $4 for it. Let's see. Or no, far less than that. $2.60 for that. So it was just a little filler comic. Looking at it, there's some wear. There's some wear along the spine. I mean, really kind of along the logo here, and that's a little soiled in the white parts of the logo. Some wrinkling at the bottom, but other than that, it looks fine. Nice reader copy. I'm just looking forward to seeing some of Kubert's art from this period, and on Enemy Ace, which is a really cool character. And for the Conan #6, that was listed as fine 6.5. That was $14.31, and then surprisingly #8 is listed as a fine, very fine 7.0, and that costs $25.50. Yeah, there's the covers again. That's #8. It is a really nice cover. I wonder if people just didn't like this this bat. I'm not sure. I mean, they're both beautiful covers. But #8 was definitely a little bit more in demand. It's only a 0.5 difference in terms of grading. And of course the grading is relatively loose. It's not CGC or anything like that. So, okay, so that's the first box. And let's go ahead and open up this second slender box, which again probably only has 3 or 4 comics in it at the most. And as usual, hoping not to actually disembowel myself when I'm cutting this tape. Even though, as a real comics fan, I would probably rather disembowel myself than actually slash the comics inside. I think anybody watching this video can relate to that. That would be absolute travesty. Rather go to the doctor with a bleeding abdomen than slice open a $5 comic in a box. Such is the comic collector's dementia. And I'm not really even a hardcore collector. Not by any stretch. So, well, there may only be 2 comics in here based on the invoice, even though I didn't see what they were. So this is going to be a relatively short video for a change. Okay, and figured I had a Nick Cardy in here, but I didn't remember which one. It is a beautiful cover. Maybe not the best condition. Picked up some Nick Cardy Teen Titans a while back. I wasn't really into DC, or I wasn't around during Nick Cardy's period. I've kind of only recently become really infatuated with his work. So let's take a look at Aquaman #52. Classic cover, beautiful cover. A lot of people mistake this cover sometimes for Neil Adams, even though it's clearly signed by Cardy right there. But, you know, beautiful perspective. It's kind of weird. I mean, this was a period, I forgot, these were cavemen or something, underwater cavemen who attacked him. There was another cover from this period where it was like Mongols, like Genghis Khan, underwater once again attacking Aquaman. So they had some pretty crazy storylines at the time. I believe this has Nick Cardy interior art as well, which will be really nice. And gotta love this, you know, whereas the figures look a little bit like Neil Adams, and sometimes people mistake some of Cardy's stuff. Some of it's more, I hesitate to say realistic, but some of that slightly more realistic, or realistically rendered, I suppose, work for Adams on occasion, even though I think Cardy is generally a lot more stylized, and I actually think he's a little more I really want to say more inventive at times, even though certainly Neil Adams had a lot of innovations. I love this the spaceship, or this underwater. They're underwater, so I guess this is some sort of submarine, even though it certainly looks like a jet fighter. And all of this stippling, the zipatone, which they've cut out and put in there, you know, so it's really nice. And then, okay, I forgot I had this as well. This is Flash Gordon number 5 by Gold Key. It's Liz King, Charlton Gold Key, in King Comics on the actual cover. Al Williamson, of course, the great Al Williamson. I can never get enough of his work. Not one of his most fantastic covers, but his figure drawing is always beautiful no matter what. And, you know, he's Flash Gordon, Buster Crabbe comics, you know, all of his EC stuff. So just picked that up on a whim as well. Let's see. So I paid $5.70 for the Flash Gordon, which is a decent price, I guess. I saw that they had this, I think they had 3 Al Williamson's Flash Gordons that were like bagged together and actually distributed that way. I would have loved to have gotten those. But, and then the Aquaman actually cost a good bit of money for a comic. It's 4.5 and it cost $22 for that issue. You know, so. But, like I said, I bought it on a whim. Flash Gordon is listed as a 5.0, and Aquaman is listed as a 4.5, but I think they're giving a lot of leeway to Aquaman. It's got the white cover, but looks a little bit soiled. You can see how white the Flash Gordon is at the bottom, how clean the cover is. It certainly looks better than a 5.0, and this, you know, maybe it's a 4.5, but it certainly does not look only 0.5 less in less good condition than the Flash. So, interesting. And finally, got this big order here. It's a box. Picked this up last week. I do know what is in here, but I haven't seen the inside. Maybe we'll take a few minutes to look at the interiors for a change. For a change in this video, at least. Just have to slash the tape again. And another legendary artist. You know him, you love him. It's Jack Kirby, of course. And it is the Kamandi Archive. And I don't see the invoice for that, but I believe I paid like $27 for this in the auction. And every one that I saw was still even used. Even on Amazon, even on eBay, we're selling for around $40. So it seemed like a pretty good deal, especially because those were even often in less condition, less good condition than this one. This one I think was listed as about an 8.5. But I mean, it's a hardcover book. Okay, we've got the invoice here. Yeah, it actually cost $29. It is listed as an 8.5, so I remember that correctly. Very fine. And still nicely sealed up in the bag. And very simple, beautiful cover. Kamandi was, again, something... I picked up a Kirby, Marvel Kirby, from around that era. You know, the Black Panther era and Eternals. But I kind of missed most of his Fourth World stuff, which I've subsequently gone back and seen some of it, not a lot of it. I still miss a lot of New Gods, Sandman, stuff like that, but Mr. Miracle I've seen quite a bit of. But Kamandi, you know, was one that I missed and always seemed interesting. The Planet of the Apes sort of theme of this guy trapped in a world with these anthropomorphic creatures. And yeah, this is when they say 8.5, I mean, this is brand new. I mean, there's no damage whatsoever. It looks like it's been packaged untouched. I'm pretty sure the spine will crack when I open it. Well, maybe not. But, so I was kind of curious to see, just in a nice collection, to see Kirby's art. I figure I've seen a little bit of the stories. Of course, they're pretty bizarre, pretty silly. But, you know, I thought it would be nice to see it in a format like this instead of having just go back and buy the pamphlets. And, of course, all the covers are reproduced. These were 20 cents, so they were really, I guess, early Bronze Age, or, yeah, around that point. But I missed most of the stuff. And, yeah, it's some of Kirby's more simplistic art, in a sense, if that's the correct way of phrasing it. You know, it's not quite the powerhouse stuff that you would have seen at his absolute peak, which I would put at 60s Thor and Fantastic Four. But, you know, obviously it's Kirby. There's tons of beautiful illustrations here. Lots of really odd, weird, fascinating Kirby tangents. The rat people. Really interesting, the maps. You know, it's kind of fun. The guerrilla communes, the expanding tiger empire, lion tribes. Lion tribes are pueblo builders, okay? And human herds found in all forested areas. Dominion of the Devils, mountainous new continent. So this is Commandy's continent, which is North America. North America, and then kind of attached to, I don't know, Greenland or something. There's South America, tracking site of the nuclear people. So it's just this, and the wild preserve of naked humans running around, if you can see where my finger is. But yeah, there's lots of funny stuff and interesting, kind of crazy big ideas that Kirby was working on. And there's a beautiful page. I don't know how well this is picking up. Mike Royer, who still appears on the Jack Kirby boards, Jack Kirby groups pretty often, or at least occasionally he weighs in. Much beloved there as one of Kirby aficionados' favorite inkers, along with maybe Joe Sinnott, but Joe Sinnott seems to be the favorite of most people, and then you've got Mike Royer, the real hardcore Kirbyites who feel like Royer's even more true to Kirby's line. Doesn't smooth it out quite as much as Sinnott did. Matter of opinion. And so, kind of that's a beautiful two-page, interesting two-page splash. And there's another cover. And I think, like a lot of Kirby's stuff from this period, from this DC period, and maybe pretty much all of his stuff that he wrote himself, I think there were a lot of big concepts and a lot of big ideas. When you hear Kirby interviewed, I mean, he was a very intelligent man. He was a very thoughtful man. But I think there were a lot of concepts and ideas that he really wanted to get to. But then in practice, they didn't always come to fruition. You know, sometimes they could be a bit silly. Sometimes they, you know, were ideas that were in his head, but he maybe had difficulty making them, bringing them to the fruition on the page other than visually. But in terms of storytelling, sometimes it was like a little half-baked, a little crazy. This was really interesting here. This was back to something that he did in the Fantastic Four in the 60s, where he did these collage effects. And obviously drew the figures, you know, the 2D figures, cut them out and placed them over these photo images that he's altered somewhat, but really interesting stuff when he did this kind of thing, because it's so out of context, in a sense, visual context, when you see the very straightforward 2D images, which are powerful and really cool, but then, you know, suddenly you're seeing basically photos They've been photocopied, so they have a slightly surrealistic look about them. But it's the sort of stuff that, you know, you have fine artists who have appropriated comics subsequently and done exhibitions, basically appropriating the work of, you know, the great cartoonist and kind of making it into pop art, so-called pop art. Even Marvel, of course, jumped on that trend with their pop art productions period. But it's the kind of thing that you would see in a gallery, you know, a major exhibit if it were another artist. And, you know, I think Jack Kirby is certainly getting his due these days. But you know, this wasn't done in some kind of ironic, you know, sort of condescending context of pop culture that some of the so-called fine artists did when appropriating comics later. Anyway, looks good. Absolute feast for the eyes in terms of, you know, Kirby DC art, and I have no idea where the story goes, how fulfilling it is, other than the wacky, fascinating visuals. But there you go. There is the back cover. So that's it. Commandy, that cost $29, and then you saw the other collection of comics, just a handful of comics, some Barry Windsor Smith, some Nick Cardy. What else was in there? Joe Kubert and and Al Williamson. So wow, probably like the absolute pantheon of great artists, you know, that worked in the mainstream. So really happy with those handful of comics, and I don't know if I'll have any new unboxings anytime soon. I haven't bought anything, and if I do, it'll probably just be a very small purchase. So I'll probably be back with some other comics related stuff, some, you know, going through some collections, or just going through some more focused on specific artists or some sort of material like that. I've got plenty of ideas. It's just a matter of finding the time to do them and editing them, and even just setting up the camera. I'm so lazy. But if you're watching this, thanks so much for watching. And once again, the God Loves Comics Facebook group is going strong. Got about 400 members at the moment. I'm sure it'll continue to expand. I'm pretty picky, but feel free, if you're on Facebook, to go ahead and just look up God Loves Comics, and you can join the group there. I'm the sole administrator, moderator, so I'll approve you probably, unless you're like a crazy Trump fan, which I have denied a few of those. But otherwise, that's it for now. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.